A woman who walks in her femininity walks in her power. And I'm about to help you access that power by giving you 5 feminine traits men find irresistible in women. Now listen, I am a firm believer that tapping into your feminine energy is a wonderful, amazing thing, not just for the sake of how it attracts men in relationships, but for you, for your peace of mind, for your health, for your overall happiness. So I want you to keep an open mind as I discuss these things and understand how this is truly to your benefit as a woman. But yes, as I stated, this gives you a power that starts to allow you to shine in a way that will attract not just men, but just opportunities your way. It will open the world up for you, all right? And now there's another video I have. I'm gonna link it at the very end, so watch this all the way to the end. It's gonna give you 9 more, but let's get 5 that I want to highlight specifically in this video. The first one is a woman who expresses herself. Now, I already know some of y'all are thinking, hell no, because these men don't ever want to talk. They don't want to listen. What do you mean expressing yourself? All right, of course, let me break it down for you, okay? So, believe it or not, here's an important thing you have to always remember as a woman. What works in a healthy relationship or what works for a good man will not work for the other men. And it's important to remember that, because what I see happen to a lot of women is that they apply what went wrong with all these wrong men, with all these toxic men, unhealthy men, men who never belonged in your life, and say, oh, well, since it didn't work here, it doesn't work at all. And that's not true. So when we talk about expressing yourself, the reality is this: the man who is genuine about being with you, the man who has real and serious intentions, okay? He wants you to express yourself. He wants you to be forthcoming. He wants you to be transparent. And it's for various reasons. One, a man who loves you wants to be on the same page as you. And you being willing to express yourself allows there to be more clarity in the relationship. One of the biggest frustrations a man has is the confusion that many men experience with women. And I don't say that to demonize or make women seem bad in the sense of their struggle to give clarity at times. But the truth of the matter is, the way that many women, not all, but many women communicate, or the way that many women expect men to pick up on their method of communication, there's a disconnect in many situations, all right? So a lot of times, for example, I've coached a lot of couples, married couples, and let's just say they're having issues in the bedroom, okay? And the guy, the husband, the boyfriend, whoever will come to me like, I don't know what to do. You know, I need help. So I'll talk to the woman and I'm like, okay, he just doesn't understand, but he's willing. And her response will be, well, why do I have to tell him what to do? I've been with him for so long. How is he so stupid that he doesn't pick up on the signs, that he doesn't understand me by now? All right. And though I'm giving an example in a long-term relationship, this happens in the dating phase as well, where there's an expectation of, how don't you know better? How aren't you seeing this? Part of the reason why is because as women, you guys have a more natural ability to pick up on the details. You're more attentive. You're paying attention to everything. I always say nothing really gets past a woman. She may choose to ignore it, rationalize past it, make excuses for it, but you guys see pretty much everything. Men really don't see it. They're not as aware. They're not as detailed oriented as women. All right. And so they need more direct communication of how you're feeling, what's going on, what is needed in that relationship. So getting back to the original point, a woman who is willing to express herself is such a desirable woman, and it's such a beautiful thing because, again, it brings more peace and clarity in the relationship. And if you say again, well, I've tried so many times to be forthcoming and expressive, but I've gotten shut down, I've gotten hurt, I've gotten used, I want you to recognize you walking in your femininity, you being expressive was not the issue. It was who you were trying to do it with that was the issue. Your selection process of men at that time may have been an issue, but not the actual feminine action of being more expressive and open and allowing yourself to flow. That is a beautiful thing. And again, to highlight why this isn't just good for the sake of the relationship and attracting a man, but it's for your sake, is because, listen, consider or think about those relationships you've been in or situations you've been in where you didn't feel like you could express yourself, where you had to hold back, or not had to, but you chose to hold back, or you felt like you weren't given much of a choice because, again, this individual didn't listen, they weren't receptive to you. It caused stress within you. It caused anger, resentment, frustration. It robbed you of your peace. And that's what happens to people in general. When we have to suppress how we feel, that throws everything off. So being able to walk freely in just being expressive is a beautiful thing. And again, it will impact you on so many levels, but also it would allow you to connect even deeper with the man who's serious about you. And I would argue I would hope the man that you have a connection with, because I want you to be with the man you have a connection with, not just find some random guy that you can try to make it work with. But I'm not done with being expressive. We're not moving on to the next point just yet, because here's another part of being expressive. And let me start with this. I once read this book. I always forget the name of this book. One day I'm going to remember it. But essentially in this book, this man starts to survey couples leaving after they got their marriage license. So leaving the division of marriage licenses, okay? And he would survey them and ask them all these various questions. And so one of the questions he would ask the men is, why did you choose this woman to marry? And one of the most popular answers he would receive was a very simple answer. I want you to hear it clearly. Because she liked me. I'm going to say it one more time so it can register. Because she liked me. What does this mean? The reality is that many men are taught to be in pursuit of the woman, taught to, lay out the red carpet, go after her if you really want to be with her, all these things. And I'm not necessarily arguing that at the moment. However, a lot of men don't experience the woman essentially giving them that same energy, being expressive in her desire, showing him that she wants him as much as he wants her. And again, in a way that he understands, because the woman may feel like, well, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Of course, I'm showing him I want him, but that doesn't register in his mind. And so when you can learn to be more expressive and express desire, this hits a man in a way that I don't think a lot of women understand. Even to the extent where I have seen situations, I know of many, where men were drawn to women, almost not solely, but the main driver was her willingness to express desire. So I'm going to lay it out for you. I know of one story of a guy where he meets this young lady. It was like a group of friends. And they all were hanging out. He meets a female friend of the group, and she starts flirting with him. Now, in his mind, she was cute, but he didn't really feel the need to want to go after it. It wasn't like, oh my gosh, okay, I want her. This is it. This is my wife or something like that. It's like, oh, she's cute, but his mind wasn't really into it. He just kind of left it alone. But she would flirt. She would compliment him and all these things. And him expressing it to me, it would make him feel really good. And what happened is he found himself, whenever the friends would hang out and she would be there, he started gravitating to her even more. To the point now where she became more attractive to him. I know that we talk a lot about the physical, the visual that men are drawn to. And I'm not doubting that at all or saying that that's not true. However, there are layers of how other things can make someone attractive, even when it comes to men. Because I think we all recognize that when it comes to women, but it can happen with men as well in various ways. All right, it may not be as potent as it can be with women at times, but it does exist. But anyways, her willingness to show desire reeled him in, and then he found himself wanting to pursue this woman. He found himself wanting to be with her because of the way she made him feel. And that willingness to show desire is what played a huge role in it. Now, listen, don't think it was just that. Again, he did view her as a cool girl. She was attractive to him. So I don't want you to think simply expressing desire is going to catch you any man you want, right? But it can definitely play a huge role in making things happen and pushing things along. I also feel the need to point out, consider this. Consider, many of you have seen situations where people are married or in relationships and the man at some point in the relationship chooses to cheat, okay? And then when the woman finds out who the other woman is, she doesn't look nowhere near as good as his partner, all right? Sometimes to the point where the woman's like, what the hell is this? Like, did you really cheat on me with this woman? I'm not trying to sound mean. I'm just saying this is what happens. We all know it exists, right? And what a lot of people don't realize is when you dig into the situation to understand what made this man cheat on his partner with someone who was less attractive, especially when we talk about how men are so drawn to the physical, the visual, all right? It's about things like that woman showing him desire, that woman being accommodating to him. And I'm going to mention some of the other things on this list in this video, but her willingness to express desire plays a huge role. I feel the need to make one more example before we move on. I promise we're going to move on to the next one. Another example where you see this play out a lot is you ever see a situation where there's a man, and let's just say there's two women in his life at this moment. And one woman is, you could say, the more conservative, quote unquote, good girl, whatever you want to label it. And the other woman is the crazy one. All right. She's nuts. Okay. And in a lot of situations, the man chooses the crazy one. And you're like, what the hell is this? And what it boils down to in many situations is that in her craziness, she shows and expresses desire. She has no problem saying to this man and showing this man, I want you. In her mind, you are mine. You ain't going nowhere. And I'm going to fight to the death to have you. Hopefully not actually to the death, but I'm just saying. That's how passionate she is. Whereas the quote-unquote good girl conservative one is more nonchalant, is more, well, if he wants me, he needs to come get me. And I understand why she would have that thought process, but in taking a step back, she's not realizing, but you're not showing him that you even want him. You're not showing him you value him. And men want to feel wanted and desired and valued. So when a woman can express herself, be more forthcoming, provide clarity, express desire, these things are extremely irresistible to a man and will draw him more to you. All right, so now another irresistible feminine trait is being open-minded, and I want to say more specifically, not being judgmental, okay? I think this is another unspoken or not spoken about enough issue that I've seen in a lot of situations, a lot of relationships, where one, let's start with being open-minded. I think when you examine relationships with men and women, you tend to see that the woman does tend to be more open-minded at times, and the man might be a little bit more rigid. And it depends. I'm going to say once upon a time. I'm not sure if that really applies right now in today's world, but once upon a time, it was more so the men were more rigid with their ways, and the women were a little bit more open and free. And we could argue that that was because once upon a time, women were walking more in their feminine energy, men were more in their masculine energy, and that created that kind of a dynamic. But the reality is that a man does not want to deal with a very rigid woman, all right? A lot of men, of course, there's exceptions to every rule. They want to feel like their woman is, that open-mindedness, that free-flowing, that creates a balance in that man's life. So even if he himself can be a little rigid, we seek a balance in our relationships, whether consciously or subconsciously. It happens a lot of times, and we want that person that can kind of pull us out of our shell, so to speak, or again bring just a balance to the relationship. So men want to feel that she's a little more open-minded, but to go deeper, and I'm gonna just keep it real with y'all, a lot of times that open-mindedness is desired in the area of sexual relations. Let's just keep it real, all right? And I think that if I had to say where I've heard men complain about a woman's rigidness the most, it would be in the bedroom, all right? Now listen, everyone has their line to draw, and I'm not here to tell you how far to go past the line, okay? You got to find what you're comfortable with, what you're happy with, and this is why I'm a firm believer in we have to talk about these things before we get deep into a relationship, before we get married, even before we ever have sex with each other. I think we need to have discussions about our views on sexuality and what our desires are, so we can see if we're on the same page and truly capable of fulfilling each other in that manner. But keep in mind that I think I do understand that when a woman feels comfortable and safe in the relationship, it's easier for her to open up, whether it be sexually, whether it be in various other ways. So I understand the role that the man plays in this dynamic, but I do think that as a woman, you got to own that energy. You got to come into it. And again, wherever your line is, draw it, but you got to come in with that, not putting it on him to get you to that more open-minded place, but being more open-minded, but having your standards of what you expect in return. What needs to be reciprocated for you to continue to pour into him in that manner. When you are able to show an open-mindedness, that again, I think creates a better energy and environment in the relationship. But also, when we talk about not being judgmental, I think what's important to understand is that, when we talk about men struggling to open up to women sometimes, I've seen it happen in a lot of couples where part of that happens because he's observing how judgmental you are towards other people. So if you are a woman, and let me say this, I wrote this in my very first book, which was actually to men about, it's called How to Get a Woman to Have Sex with You If You're Her Husband, all right? And one of the points I make in that is, if the woman sees the man is very judgmental towards women in general, that will cause her to feel unsafe in regards to opening up about certain things, even being more sexually free with him, how she's willing to navigate the situation, because she doesn't want him to look down upon her. She doesn't want him to judge her. So she kind of stays in that shell, but of course it has its ramifications. Well, the reality is that happens on the other side as well, where if he sees you are very judgmental of people in general and very judgmental of other women and all these things, well, it doesn't make him feel safe that he can come to you about certain things, because if he feels like you're going to basically turn that wrath on him, so to speak. So learning how not to be, and I think for all of us as human beings, men and women, it is best that we learn not to carry such a judgmental spirit. And when I say judgmental spirit, because I know some people may argue, well, you're supposed to judge people in the sense of evaluating individuals. Yes, evaluation, but not judging as far as condemning and just writing people off and throwing negative energy towards individuals because of how you want to look down upon them due to disagreements, or, even if, okay, they're into things we're not into, all right, that's them, that's their life, We don't need to look down on each other for our differences, so to speak. So I think it's important to understand that coming in with an open mind, having that open-minded spirit and not being judgmental is definitely going to play very well in your relations with men. Now, before I move on to my next point, which is going to be a doozy, I'm letting you know right now, okay? A lot of you are always asking me for one-on-one coaching or how you can get your questions answered, as well as learning how to tap into your feminine energy, heal, finding your purpose. Well, okay, I got you covered. Join my special coaching program. You can click the link below in the description or in the comment section, or go to receivingmyblessings.com. Thousands of women are already in this program. They're getting all the help, graduating from the program, seeing amazing results, and I want you to experience the same thing. So again, go to receivingmyblessings.com or click the link below or in the description. So now, number 3. And this one, I'm not going to lie to you, I was hesitant to put on this list. And then I thought about putting it at the very end of the list. But God put it in my spirit to put it here, to talk about this. And let's just get to it. So the third feminine trait men find irresistible is being submissive. Now listen, I know a lot of you do not like the word submissive, and it can be very triggering, all right? And I want you to understand, let me make it very clear right now. This is not about you letting some man become your dictator. This is not about you being a weak vessel so that you can't lead yourself. You're incapable of holding yourself up, okay? It is simply about understanding the beneficial dynamics of men and women being in relationships, all right? A heterosexual relationship. And so here's the thing you have to understand. Let me start off by saying this. From all my years of doing this, and I've been doing this, 12, 13 years, what I have learned is that at the core of this discussion, at the core of this topic, the issue is not really about submission. The issue is about trusting a man to lead, okay? And it's very important that we lay it out that way, because I always say, if a woman, most women, if an angel could come down from heaven right now and say, listen, God's going to give you a man. This man is going to never hurt you, never cheat on you, be everything you need him to be. And all we need you to do is submit to him. The majority of women be like, sign me up. Where can I get one of those? All right. Because again, it's not a problem for a lot of women to actually embrace submission if they feel like they can be safe there. The rejection of it in many cases is the fact that there's such a negative perception of men's ability to lead, the safety of trusting a man in the long run, that women then reject the idea of submission. Now, let me also put this out there. When we talk about it from a very spiritual perspective, understand there's a level of submission that both sides are doing to each other. The man is submitting to the wife, the woman is submitting to the man. But yes, there is but then there is that next level, so to speak. So if we look at it from 3 layers, I break it down like this. There is the layer 1. Woman and man submit to each other. They're submitting to each other's needs. They're pouring into each other. You know what I'm saying? They're a team. They're coming together. Layer 2 is the woman submitting to the man. And that layer 2 is more so like recognizing him as head of household, allowing him to be the full leader. And again, it's important that you understand that giving him the lead in that way does not mean you don't have a voice. I do not advocate for taking the woman's voice away. But what I do advocate is taking the burden off the woman. And I think that when a woman is with the right man in the right relationship and she is able to submit, she is able to be free. She is able to walk even more in her feminine energy. She is able to be at peace. She doesn't have to carry the burden of, I got to get this done. I got to do this. I got to make this decision and all these things. It doesn't mean you don't got an opinion. It doesn't mean he doesn't take into account how you feel, because he should. And I'm going to always encourage that with men. But it just means, okay, he's earned your trust. And not just he's earned your trust. If you are with the person that you know God wants you to be with, then you trust God enough to say, all right, if you're saying this is the guy for me, then I can give him that submission. Okay? Which is why the third layer of this is the man submitting to God. So listen, from my perspective, I'm a man of God. I'm not going to tell any woman to submit to a man who does not submit to God. I'm not saying you cannot have this dynamic outside of a spiritual relationship and those who are believers, but this is the concept or the dynamic with which I work in, okay? And so I'm going to, pass that along to the viewers. But you are allowed to apply this in your own way if you got to. But anyways, So when we understand that a lot of women ultimately at the core of it do not have an issue with submission, and I would even argue that there is a natural occurrence when a woman is not holding on to past hurt and past issues and past disappointment. So she's healed, all right? Or at least she's healthy. And she is with a masculine man. And they are pouring into each other. There is an innate, not just desire, but a natural occurrence of her being more submissive to him. And again, it's not taken into some negative, horrible way because the intentions are good from both sides. And so the thing, though, that women have to understand, because I know a lot of women will say, well, exactly, if these men would just be more masculine, they would be more trustworthy, they would lead, I would have no problem. But notice what I said, if the woman is healthy emotionally. The problem is if you are not healthy emotionally as a woman, not only will you block your ability to walk in your femininity in a general sense, but what will happen in these situations where you come across a masculine man is that, yes, you will more than likely find yourself being more feminine and being more submissive while with this man. But then because you have not healed, those unhealed parts of you will kind of poke you like, hey, what's going on here? Don't let him have that much power over you. And again, I'm saying it like that because that's what your bad devil on your shoulder is going to tell you, okay? But that's not what he's actually trying to do. Is like he's not trying to control you, but your unhealed parts will start to frame it in a negative way. We'll start to be like, wait a minute, I'm too vulnerable here. Wait a minute, what's going on? And so now that becomes this back and forth. Now that becomes this struggle to sustain the femininity, to sustain the submissiveness in that relationship, because you have to heal first. So understand that that's an important piece of this puzzle. You can't just expect the man to make you more feminine. That's not his responsibility. It's for you. And as I said in the very beginning of this video, this is for your own health. So before you even meet a man, you got to learn how to walk in that energy, that spirit already. And that's another thing that's important to understand when we talk about submission, because again, many women will say, I don't have a problem with submission if it's the right guy, if he shows leadership, all these different things, right? But the problem is you don't even exude the ability to do it. And so the man who has the capabilities of leading in love, in pouring into you, in making sure you're good, he doesn't see that spirit coming off of your body. So he's like, nah, okay, I'm going to leave this one alone. She seems too difficult. She seems too walled up. Whatever. It repels him. And so it's important to understand this is why healing is important. This is why walking in your femininity, regardless of you being in a relationship or not, regardless of what's going on, you learning how to tap into that always is going to be what's most beneficial for you in your everyday life, but also what's going to allow you or increase your ability to connect with the right guy and have an amazing, healthy relationship. All right, so now we got a fourth feminine trait that men find irresistible, and that's simply being appreciative and grateful. Now, I actually wrote down on my paper being down to earth and not being entitled. But my spirit made me say no, grateful and appreciative. Now, I think they kind of all connect in a certain way. So I'm going to run it all down, right? But grateful and appreciative is the priority things. So real quick, let's just look at not being entitled and down to earth. I think that, again, the down to earth is the more at ease. You know, I mentioned in the other video that you're going to see after this about the 9 additional qualities. I talk about sense of humor, being, not being as tense. You know what I'm saying? Just free flowing. Because understand, the feminine energy is a very free flowing, loving, happy energy. So when you're down to earth and you're just cool, and you're just chill, it's not so serious, more laid back. That's very attractive because that kind of spirit brings more peace to the relationship. It brings more harmony to the relationship. Now, not being entitled is definitely because I think one of the issues this is where entitlement and appreciation and gratefulness are connected. Because when you have entitlement, you will struggle to show appreciation and be grateful. Because in your mind, well, this is what the hell you're supposed to do. Like, What the hell? You want a cookie? You want what you want me to do? Because you did this? Like, this is what a man does? No, stop all that. Stop all that. Like, listen, everything that someone does for you, man, woman, child, doesn't matter. It's a choice that they're making. We as people have to learn to be appreciative of the choices that people make to do good by us, to pour into us, to be honest with us, all these different things. And when we show an appreciation, I always say appreciation breeds production. So you want to kill the entitlement attitude. Nobody owes us anything. All right? Nobody. And it doesn't mean don't have standards in a relationship. It doesn't mean, don't express what you're looking for and what is required to be with you. But at the same time, understand that every time they check off that box and they do the right thing, encourage that, welcome it, celebrate it. You know what I'm saying? All these things. I think if we showed each other more appreciation, think about how more blessed that relationship becomes. You know what I'm saying? So being able to be more grateful and appreciative, because again, there are a lot of men, contrary to popular belief, there are a lot of men who are trying really damn hard with their woman. I mean, one of these days, I'm going to give y'all a lot of these stories, all right? I'm going to bring these stories to the forefront because I think some of y'all just do not understand what's going on out there. And that woman is showing them no appreciation. None. It's like their efforts mean nothing. And it's only so much a man can do before he is just defeated and he's like, F it. Even if he remains in a relationship, which is a whole nother discussion, he's emotionally checked out, mentally checked out, and it just destroys everything. But it starts with we have to appreciate and be grateful of each other. All right, and the last one, and I actually have a quick bonus after this, but the last one is knowing yourself and loving yourself. And the reason why that's a feminine trait that men find irresistible is because it speaks to the core issue of insecurity. And what I mean is that when you don't love yourself, when you lack confidence, when you don't know who you are, it is so much easier to be insecure. It is so much easier to struggle in so many areas of your life. And it impacts your ability to be positive, loving, all these different things we're talking about. All right. It makes it harder for you to be expressive, because let's be real. One of the reasons why we struggle to express ourselves is because we're not confident in saying how we truly feel. And sometimes we don't know ourselves enough to even properly articulate what we're feeling. So at the core of all of this, I think the two foundational pieces to always work on or remember is, of course, healing, but then knowing and loving yourself, giving yourself time to get to know you and love you for who you are, and only accepting a man who loves you for you. All right? Because listen, these traits will make you more irresistible, but I don't care. Like, if you start attracting 20 of the guys tomorrow, but they don't love you for you, they're just attracted in the moment, they're caught up in the hype, I'm not going to encourage you to be in that relationship. I want you to be with the guy, like I said earlier, who you have a connection with, who loves you at your core. But I want you to be the best you. I don't want you to have this mentality of, well, yeah, okay, he should love me, flaws and all. To a certain extent. It's like, okay, yeah, we all got our flaws, but some flaws are very detrimental to the success of a relationship, to the even potential of a relationship. You can't just overlook all your negatives. We gotta work on those things. So again, become your best you, love yourself, know yourself, and you're gonna start to exude that feminine energy that just makes you amazing. And so the last thing I'm gonna note really quick, bonus, this isn't really a feminine trait, but I had to mention this in this video. And that is, men love a woman who has emotional intelligence. All right? So quickly, emotional intelligence is essentially becoming a master of your emotions, knowing how to use it for good, not allowing your emotions to get the best of you and have you all over the place and losing sight of things. All right? So as a woman, I want you to be in tune with self, in tune with spirit. I want you to be in tune with your emotions, because the more in tune with it you are, the more you know how to master it. The more you know how to, okay, wait a minute, I'm starting to feel angry. Okay, let me catch myself. Let me calm myself down. Let me take the necessary steps to pull back, to get back into a positive mindset, because I am aware. Because when you are emotionally intelligent, you are aware. By raising your awareness, you become better equipped to handle situations. So many women, because they struggle in that area, and it's a struggle that men and women have, but we're just talking about women right now, that can send so many situations left. So again, it's not just beneficial for the sake of relationships and men, for you. And when you can learn how to have higher emotional intelligence, you will start to experience a better, higher quality, more efficient life. Thank you for watching this video. Like I said, I got 9 more feminine qualities over here for you to watch. Be sure to check it out. A masculine man desires a feminine woman. And the reality is that a lot of you ladies desire a masculine man. Now, some of you might be feeling like, well, there ain't that many going around anymore. That's a whole nother